The hosts of BracketALlogy are experts in nothing. They claim no advanced knowledge or profound insights. Instead, they are just three judgmental idiots who really like to bloviate their own opinions whenever given the chance. Take what they have to say with a grain of salt, or not at all. You'll probably be better off that way.
All right, so we're at the finale. We have our Filmtastic 4?
Yeah.
Didn't we call it the featured 4?
Oh yeah, that
Featured
made more
4?
sense.
Okay, and the titular 2 left in this episode.
Sure. Yeah.
And then we'll be done with 1980s comedies.
Timeless 2.
Ooh, I like that. Timeless 2. Look at you using your brain meats. So my question is, we spent, like I said, 5 or 6 days whittling out our list of 32, but that inevitably meant that we had some movies we had to leave off. So my question is, what are the honorable mentions? What are the movies that we know, especially in retrospect, now that we've seen how easily some of these matchups went, what are the movies that we maybe missed out on and should have had on this bracket, or were number 33, you know?
Yeah, I think the first one, the first thing that comes to my head when we talk about what we left off is kind of the opposite, which is what should we not have put in here? And I think that was the teen category. Like most of the teen movies didn't, like it was really Ferris Bueller's Day Off to take it all away.
I see where you're coming from. I stand by my statement that The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, and Pretty in Pink, none of those are comedies. They're not funny movies.
Yeah.
They might have a bit here or there, but they are not funny movies.
The predominant note in those movies is definitely not comedy. Yeah. One movie that I say we should have left off is Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Now hold on a second. First off, why are we changing my question to something different? And secondly, how fucking dare you?
Look,
why are we circling back? Pee-wee's already dead. Why are you beating him further?
Pee-wee himself is not dead. Paul Rubens
is dead. He lives on in our hearts and our minds.
In your heart, your congested, weird pickled filled heart.
Why is this getting personal? What the fuck? Okay, fine. Asshole. No, we're done. Bill and Ted. We didn't put Bill and Ted on this list.
That's fair.
And I think that's going back to your point of how the teen category should have been reworked. I think that's one that we sacrificed in order to fit some specific things in here. And that one I think would have performed better than some of these other. Yeah, it would have done well.
I've got 2. One, Better Off Dead, another John Cusack movie, but actually a really good comedy. And 2, I want to get your thoughts on Gremlins.
I think during our 5 days, we discussed Gremlins very briefly, didn't we?
I don't remember.
If we did, I fucked up.
By not including it.
Yeah, because Gremlins is so good. It's such a great movie, and there are some goofy ass parts to it. And honestly, if we didn't want to do regular Gremlins because it was too horror-y or serious, Gremlins 2, the new batch, bro. Like that should have been on there.
That's straight comedy.
That is comedy gold, is what that is.
Yeah.
I think that's basically the conversation we had, is that we decided we couldn't do the sequels because we didn't have any sequels on here. And we, the first movie, I think we said we wanted to leave it off this bracket because it felt more appropriate for like a Halloween bracket or something like that.
A Christmas bracket, more importantly.
Oh, maybe that was it, because I do remember us talking about Die Hard at one point too.
Gremlins is way more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard ever was.
Another one, Blues Brothers. We left off the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, I've gotten some shit about that.
Yeah, I saw a comment about it as well. That one was one, and I mean, it's a fair observation. It's egg on our face.
Speaking of egg, I was told today by what's the right word for it? This was an objective opinion. All I did was say best 80s comedy movie immediately. Guess what he said?
So you asked a person this, a friend this, and
It
they
wasn't a
had
friend.
an
It was
immediate answer.
someone I met for the first time today.
Okay. And you asked them what their thought of their best 80s comedy was, and they had an immediate answer. Is the answer, let me ask you this, is the answer on this bracket?
It is, surprisingly.
Oh, it's on the bracket. Okay. I'm going to pick an answer. Dan also pick an answer. We'll say them at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how
Are you
audio
ready?
mediums work.
Okay, fine. Do you have your answer?
Sure.
What is it?
Breakfast Club.
Naked Gun.
Neither of those. Trading Places.
Really?
I was incredibly surprised. I was like, what,
Yeah.
really? I mean, I liked it, but you sure?
I mean, it had a tough opponent.
It did. Yeah. It was. It definitely did. Speaking of opponents, I think you owe me a duel.
A duel? For what?
I don't know.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to BracketALlogy, the podcast that definitively decides. Oh my gosh, why did I pick definitively decides?
It's not too late to change it. We're only
12 episodes in.
Everything tournament bracket style. I am your co-host, Scott Grubb.
I am your second co-host, Matt Robinson.
And I am the third least creepy co-host, Dan Default.
You know, honestly, I might give that one to you. As I said, welcome back as we finish out here in the finale of our 1980s comedy movies bracket. We are down to...
Sorry.
I know we just said it, but what was it? Not film task, featured four?
Featured four.
We are down to the featured four. Who do we got on the east side, Dan?
Well, we have our winner from the slapstick, the Naked Gun, versus our winner from the sci-fi, Ghostbusters.
Dan doesn't know his east from west. All right.
Yeah, but also I think he was just he really wanted to do. He hasn't been able to introduce sci-fi fantasy this entire bracket.
I keep trying to keep it away from him.
Yeah, I know, and I just went for it because that's my favorite bracket, and this is the second to last episode.
No, this is the last episode. This is it.
This is it. This is all.
Oh, well, then I'm really glad I went for
it. Matt, what about the other east side?
So the east side of the bracket contains Princess Bride from the action comedy division versus Ferris Bueller's Day Off from the teen comedy bracket.
All right. Does anyone have any strong opinions? Which one do we start with?
I mean, I think, in my eyes, I think there's... Fuck.
I think there's...
I was going to say, I think there's one easier one, and then I just immediately looked at them both.
I do think there is an easier one.
Well, pick which one you think is easier.
I want
to see if it's the. I want to see if it's the same one I'm thinking.
Okay, if I'm saying one of these is easy, it's the actual east side. That's your right, Dan. I think Princess Bride versus Ferris Bueller's Day Off is the easier one for me. What do you guys think? Oh, okay. I mean.
Look, all right, we can go that route.
I can see both of the. Look, it's okay. Whichever one.
All right, Princess Bride, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Dan?
Yeah, I mean, so Ferris Bueller's Day Off, we've talked to this movie for episodes in a row now, and it's a fantastic movie. John Hughes crushes everything that he does. The comedy is superb. The music pairing with what's happening on screen is amazing. It has, I mean, even up to the Tom Holland Spider-Man, they said that in the first Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, that they went back and did a lot of the same stuff that they did in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So it is still having a cultural impact to this day. On the flip side of that, you have the greatest love story ever told, and it fits the bill. Princess Bride has everything that you could possibly want. It is, to me, a perfect movie. It's a tough battle, but I know who I'm voting for.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Well, look, Dan has not buried any kind of leads when it comes to his feelings on The Princess Bride. And I agree. I do. I think that The Princess Bride is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it is tremendous. I'm not willing to say perfect, but I'm going to say as close to it as a movie can get, aside from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But is it more of a comedy or more of a love story? Because I think that's what we're arguing with these two. Because don't get me wrong, Princess Bride has some great moments in it. Hilarious. Billy Crystal, tremendous. His wife, tremendous. Right? Andre the Giant with the and just knocking people out, just smash on top of the head, knock people out.
Little Bunny Foo Foo style.
Dude, it's great. But it's a love story first.
It is inconceivable that you say that, because The Princess Bride, normally I would agree. Like, a movie either majors in something and minors in the other. You very rarely see a movie double major in, two different genres, except for Princess Bride. It is just as much of a comedy as it is a love story. And they both come together to make a perfect movie.
I'd like to posit a challenge to that point.
Okay.
I would actually say we have to keep in mind that that phrase, the greatest love story ever told, is literally a tagline for the movie. It was on the posters. It was an advertising point. It doesn't necessarily make it true. I think it makes it catchy. I would posit, however, it is a good love story, sure, maybe the greatest, but that's not what that movie is. That is a comedy movie. In my book, that is a comedy movie first and a love story second. And it is not at the level, we talked in earlier episodes about Mel Brooks, and I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan. Love his stuff. Love how it is joke after witticism after everything, back to back to back to back. Princess Bride does not have the pace of a Mel Brooks film, but it has the quality and the level of it. The little things like her chastity belt being a literal metal full on undergarment and a literal key that's hilarious. And then again, the jokes was the quotes that still come out of it. Everyone knows the Indigo Montoya part, and
Indigo.
It's Indigo. What did I say?
You said Indigo.
Oh yeah, what you said. It's
Indigo, mate, my baby.
I think prepare to die. I think it's a comedy leaning movie first that happens to have a great love story as well.
Look,
I think it was made with Mel Brooks in mind.
I'm not going to say that it's not funny or that it doesn't have funny parts, because it clearly does. I mean, you mentioned the chastity belt, but also the nut that Billy Crystal shoves down his throat while he's dead, basically, right? That entire scene is absolutely absurd, and it is funny. There are funny parts to it, and I love the movie. But realistically, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is a comedy movie. Princess Bride is a love story comedy action movie. There are so many things at play with The Princess Bride. There's so many things happening. Does that take away from just the comedy? And I think it's a possibility. I'm not saying that it is, and I'm not trying to dissuade your votes, but I want you to think about it as we've said it a couple times in this bracket. What is the better comedy? What is the better comedy movie of the 80s? Can you definitively say that The Princess Bride is the best comedy? Nothing else. And I think that's kind of hard to say, especially up against a juggernaut that is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah, I especially love that really funny part where Cameron has an existential crisis.
Say what you want. That's played for laughs, and you know it.
Yeah. When he's just staring off into the abyss in the museum and the real sad music's playing. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I crack
The
up
whole
every
thing is
time.
played for a laugh.
Yeah, as compared to Andre the Giant throwing boulders and saying, I could just kill you now, trying to get... Dude, come on. I'm ready for a vote. I don't know about you guys.
I appreciate you, finding a hill to die on. But I think you might be dead.
I might be dead? Did you just say I might be dead?
I think Ferris Bueller might be dead.
You can't do that to me. I've got anxiety. You can't just tell a guy he's dead.
Now I have to go stare into a mirror until I'm real again.
What is happening? All right, give me your vote, Stan.
Princess Bride.
Scott?
I would like to submit to the Electoral College Princess Bride.
So the Princess Bride moves on.
Hold on. What's your vote?
I would like it to be known that the Princess Bride is also my vote. But
I like your sacrifice for the sake of conversation.
But the purpose of this podcast is to entertain people and have a conversation. If we're just like, yeah, that's right, and then move it on, that's not a very... It would have been helpful if maybe one or two of my co-hosts had, something positive to say in the same regard.
Here's the problem, though, is that now you were the dissenting opinion for funsies in that round. And this one, I have a feeling I'm going to be the dissenting opinion for realsies.
Yeah.
And it's going to make me angry.
All right,
next bracket. Next matchup, not bracket. Next matchup.
We're going to the West East side.
The West East, yep. That's 480 degrees. The Naked Gun versus Ghostbusters.
All right, so we got Leslie Nielsen. We've got O.J. Simpson versus Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray. I think in a fight, we know who would win.
I'm still kind of surprised that we voted the Naked Gun over Airplane. I think it was the right decision. Yeah, I think it was the right decision. The Naked Gun is so good. There's so many hilarious moments in it, like when they're practicing safe sex and they're both in full body condoms.
You have held on to that one part so hard. You loved that bit so much.
I did. And like the whole scene where Leslie Nielsen's in the office and it starts with a pen and it ends up like killing the fish and ruining the pen. Just classic comedy.
It is classic comedy. I think there are a lot of great bits in The Naked Gun. And again, it being one of the more recent movies like that of this that I saw because of the bracket, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I really enjoyed The Naked Gun. I will stand by saying that it's better than Airplane. And I do think there's a lot in that it does a lot of work on its own. I mean, again, I made fun of it, but O.J. Simpson holds his own comedically in that movie. Leslie Nielsen is tremendous. The whole baseball game is what sticks out in my head. Like the entirety of the baseball game is just the stupidest, funniest thing.
The dancing on part is great.
It's really good. But Ghostbusters, again, Bill Murray, right? You've Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Rick Moranis. Like it's a great movie. I'm going to go back to it. Is Ghostbusters enough of a comedy?
I was going to say, now stop me if this sounds familiar, but of the two of these, which one is more a comedy and which one is more maybe an action sci-fi movie? Which one is laughs all the way through? Which one, maybe involves trying to save the whole world from
a giant marshmallow man?
Yeah, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
There's still stakes.
Hold
okay?
on. Hold on.
What?
Try that one again, Dan.
The Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man.
What did he say the first time?
Marshmallow?
Probably
Marshmallow?
marshmallow. I hate this argument because just because there's not a laugh every 5 seconds in a movie does not make it any less of a comedy. You can have really good, powerful laughs at the right moment, but it takes some build up for a really good laugh. You know, very few comedians can go out there and be like Mitch Hedberg and just say one line and it be hilarious. A lot of lines require a build up to get to the punchline.
I think that that's actually a really good point, especially comparatively to modern movies. When you look at a lot of, and I'm not saying that I dislike the Marvel movies, but when you look at Marvel movies, there are a lot of quips, right? There are a lot of one-liners, a lot of things. A lot of them don't hit, and a lot of them do. So it kind of spans the gamut. But I think you're right, Dan. There is a level of comedy that requires buildup and setups, and having funny characters such as a Bill Murray, who plays very much of comedy straight man in the Ghostbusters, helps to sell those really, really well.
And Slimer.
Gotta like Slimer.
Yeah.
Gotta like Slimer.
And the Keymaster, come on. Just because it doesn't have a gag every 5 seconds does not take away its comedy value.
But does it diminish it to the point where a stronger comedy-focused movie is the better comedy movie? Going back to our conversation about Breakfast Club, we said if this was a 1980s bracket, that movie would have moved on and made it further and have been a juggernaut. But it's a comedies bracket, so it got eliminated. And in this scenario, between the comparison of the two, which one is the stronger comedy?
But you say that, and like the Breakfast Club is a little different because the Breakfast Club, I feel like, is an emotional movie that has very few actual comedy moments. Ghostbusters has a lot more comedy built in.
I'm not saying it's not a comedy. I'm not diminishing the comedy that exists within Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I'm just saying which one of the two of them is a greater representation of the word comedy.
Well, I think I just took this stance in the last matchup and you stole it from me.
Yeah. The whole time you were talking, I was half paying attention and half looking at the other side of the bracket going, damn, I'm going to repeat everything he's saying.
This seems like bullshit.
Again, I said, stop me if it sounds familiar.
Look,
you let me keep talking.
I think the difference in my eyes is really that Ghostbusters is a comedy. Like that is the intentional genre that it happens to be. It happens to share the space with sci-fi, with fantasy, but it is a comedy first and foremost. No, I do think The Naked Gun is great and it's hilarious, and I laughed a ton at The Naked Gun. But I laugh all the time when I go back to Ghostbusters.
Okay, thought experiment here. Let's put a numerical value to it. Okay? We're going to say Naked Gun is action comedy. We're going to say Ghostbusters is, do you want to say sci-fi comedy or action comedy?
Sci-fi comedy.
Okay.
It's got ghost.
So you have 100% to work with. Naked Gun, what percentage of it is comedy? What percentage of it is action?
I'd like to just take it back just a moment because I think that you're crossing the streams, if it were, when it comes to genres, because The Naked Gun is not in the action comedy bracket. It is in the slapstick comedy bracket.
Fine then. Are those the two that categories that we want to compare it as? Do we want to call it part slapstick, part comedy, and try and come up with percentages between those two words that mean
50-50?
Basically the same thing.
But here's the thing: slapstick is a type of comedy, right? Action can be on its own. Sci-fi can be on its own. Teens, not very much in 80s movies, can be on their own. what you are comparing, it's actually a perfect comparison because slapstick is the perfect definition for what The Naked Gun is, because it is nonstop throughout, and that is the perfect definition of a slapstick comedy. But for, I don't want to say more sophisticated, but the Ghostbusters movie is still
an imperfect definition of comedy in comparison.
It is a perfect definition of anything that's not slapstick.
Okay, let's practice some couples therapy here. I'm really feeling like you don't want to answer my question.
I'm sorry. I really feeling like?
Yes, I'm really feeling like.
Oh, okay. There's an M in there.
Yeah, you don't want to answer my question.
I
I really feel like that's because you know what the outcome's going to be.
So
unless you're a dirty fucking liar.
I'll answer your question. The Naked Gun is 100% slapstick movie because it is
Nope. That was not one of the options. Is it action or comedy? What percentage is action? What percentage is comedy?
Okay, it's 100% slapstick because it's in the slapstick category.
You're not answering my question, you stubborn son of a bitch. All right,
I'd say it's look, 30% action, 70% comedy.
Okay, now what about Ghostbusters? What percent sci-fi? What percent comedy?
I would say that it's probably 60% comedy, 40% sci-fi.
It's in the numbers, my man. My vote is The Naked Gun.
Okay, well, we're moving into a vote on your incorrect premise.
You just said that Naked Gun is more of a comedy than Ghostbusters is.
No, in comparison to itself.
I said Naked Gun is a slapstick comedy, so it's going to have more of those moments.
It doesn't matter what kind of comedy it is.
All right, if I have a box of The Naked Gun and a box of the Ghostbusters on my counter, the one that I'm grabbing with the milk and putting it in the bowl is Ghostbusters.
This isn't cereal anymore, you old man.
Ghostbusters gets my vote.
All right.
Have your nightly Raisin Bran and go to bed.
So we've got... You also love Raisin Bran. You can't... What are you...
It keeps me regular.
Look, I'm going to be the one keeping this moving forward because both of you are about to rip each other's throats out. The Naked Gun. Look, I voted for The Naked Gun almost every step of the way. I think it's a tremendous movie. Ghostbusters, I voted most of the way until Beetlejuice. To me, this is they're both difficult choices that we have to make here today.
Think about the cultural impact.
But
I'm going to culturally impact your face.
I think...
That made that sound like a hate crime.
I'll leave all that in. Here's the thing. The Naked Gun, Leslie Nielsen. It's a gun. It's
You're
naked.
Just saying words.
Ghostbusters. They're ghosts. They get busted.
I hate your words.
Vote, damn it.
I have to vote on one of these two movies. Ooh.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Ghostbusters moves forward.
Yes!
Look, I mean, the truth of the matter is that Ghostbusters is a more impactful movie. I feel like that's just true, no matter who you are.
Looking at the rest of this part of the bracket, I think it's pretty clear to me you guys do not appreciate slapstick comedy very much.
Hold on. I wasn't done with my point, damn it.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Ghostbusters
you voted wrong.
Ghostbusters is ingrained in society. It just is. When you say who you're going to call, anybody's going to respond, right? When you look at this bracket overall, we did the Princess Bride versus Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And Princess Bride moved forward. I had to be forward thinking and think, what of these movies actually has a possible chance to take out the Princess Bride? And the answer to that is Ghostbusters. That is just the truth. So that gets us into our finale.
Look, I know, but it sucks. Hold on. Before we go to our finale, I appreciate the jump. But, Matt, can you give us a little idea of what we're in store for next week? Perhaps not too much of an idea, but maybe let our
give you
listeners know.
Mini idea where we go into our first.
Matt, put your pants back on.
I'm the editor, can take that out. We go to our first mini bracket. 8 teams. Mystery to the other hosts. Decided by one host, me, for this first one. So I have a miniature bracket of 8 things that I am going to present to Dan and Scott day of and say, tell me what the winner is. That's going to, I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to do a mini bracket in between our bigger brackets to kind of break it up and give a little bit of, breath between them, for lack of a better way of putting it. But we've got some fun ones. I'm excited to share this. It's going to be a surprise. At recording, I will provide them visibility to the bracket.
Yeah, so
I am both excited and scared.
Yeah,
you should be.
So that'll be next week, and then after that, we will begin our next long series bracket. We are putting the finishing touches on it right now, and then I think we already have ideas in place for the next mini bracket, and then the next long form bracket after that. So, feeling pretty good about where we are. But with all that being said, if you have suggestions and you want to send us some ideas for some brackets, we are always open and welcome to them. You can find us on all the socials. You can DM us on Instagram. You can send us a message on Facebook. You can excrete at us on X, formerly Twitter.
Gross.
I mean, they're not tweets anymore. Excretions. The only thing that makes sense. You can also we're at BracketALlogy, BracketALLogy, or you can email us directly, BracketALlogyPodcast@gmail.com. So please share the show. That helps a lot. Interacting on social media is big for us as well. We appreciate all that. So all of that being said, all that encouragement, Dan, I saw you raised your hand.
Yeah.
You went ET on us for a second there?
I also wanted to just say, please give us your ideas. We just listed out like the ideas that we have and kind of a timeline. But the next big bracket that we want to do actually came from a listener, and the idea was so great that we built a bracket on it. So we will absolutely put our own ideas on the back burner if we like yours better.
Mainly because our ideas are shit.
Yeah, that's mainly it.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. So we are here at the finale. The last
it's time for the
Ghostbusters
main
versus
event.
Oh, you were still going. Sorry.
Sorry. Good. Of the evening.
Ghostbusters versus Princess Bride.
Yeah, a little bit there. So, Ghostbusters. There are ghosts. They get busted, right? Princess Bride.
You literally just said all these words.
There's a princess. She's also a bride. Look, this is, I truly believe that when you look at this bracket, there are hundreds of ways that this could have gone down, right? Like, I think there are many people, no matter who we talk to, no matter who listens to this, no matter when you listen to it, tell us how we're wrong in these brackets. Because I think for us, for the three of us, I think we might have given this one away in episode 1. Or episode 2, realistically, because these were both in episode 2 in the first round. These are tremendous movies, right? Ghostbusters, Princess Bride. We're not going to hit them all to death again. We're not going to kick the horses while they're down. What we are going to say is, may the best movie win. Do you guys have anything that you want to add that we haven't already discussed when it comes to Ghostbusters or Princess Bride?
I just want to point out, you said that there were hundreds of ways that this could go, but it's actually like billions. Like there's when there's 32 different options, it's way more than hundreds, man.
I'd like you to look at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right? I'm the captain now.
That movie's
hundreds can mean anything
There,
from
you could say
100 to
you could
hundreds
say
of hundreds.
you could say there are at least over 100, because that factual statement.
No, the statement that I made is still factual, and I'm real
It's still
tired of y'all
factual.
questioning my math.
I mean, it's the same premise, whether it's hundreds or at least over 100. It's the same thing.
Multiple
you're just shooting,
hundreds.
Yeah, you're just shooting it real low.
So you're gonna count by 100 up to this? Okay, all right.
I could. You don't know me.
It's the Price is Right rules. The closest without going over. He's just playing it safe.
Yeah, hundreds, Bob.
So he could have said dozens, and he still would have been accurate.
Yeah.
Also correct.
It's like a hedged bet. Okay, all right, fine. That's good with it. Ghostbusters and Princess Bride. We got off track. Do we want to start pros or cons? We've never debated anything this way, but for some reason I decided to throw that out there.
This is the format now, apparently.
Yeah, I'm live on the air. Let's do it.
Live.
Do it live.
Pros? Fuck it.
Pros. Ghostbusters. We talked about it in the last one, and it's what I understand as to why it won in the last round. It is that cultural impact. It has permeated into it. I mean, it's a household name, right? It's permeated into our culture to that level. And yeah, everybody knows who you're gonna call
Ghostbusters.
Exactly. Can't not say that. And it was, it's huge, right? Lunch boxes and what was it? The
Ecto cooler?
Ecto coolers, yeah. And clothes and video games and you name it. Ghostbusters was on it, and someone made a nickel off every single one that was sold. Princess Bride did not have that cultural impact, but
it had that cult impact.
It definitely had. Yes, I was trying to figure out a way to say it because to me, like, it has a stronger emotional attachment, and I think that is what derives the cult following that it ended up with. Is the people who have that emotional connection to it. It's strong for them, and so it carries a greater gravitas for a population of people.
I think I told you both about this, but I got into a conversation with someone who said, and I quote, "I hate the Princess Bride." And I've never vehemently disagreed with anybody more in my life. And that includes certain politicians. That includes hate crimes.
Look, I'm not saying that violence is the answer, but it is a answer. And
I don't
think she
recall
could
you
whip
telling
my
me
ass.
this. I don't recall you telling me this story because I feel like if you had, then I would have suggested that we all collectively gone over to that person's house the other night when we hung out.
I don't know where she lives. She's also like real tall. I'm telling you, she could whoop all of us. But truly, I've never disagreed with somebody more about anything because the Princess Bride,
a negative word.
The Princess Bride is, I think you're right. I think it has such an emotional connection. And I think that really hits for so many people. I think, and don't quote me on this. You know what? Maybe quote me. I think there are people that are willing to go to the grave about the Princess Bride. Like, I think it's that much of a cult following. I think there are people that love it so deeply because it speaks to them, because it's what they want, because of that love story, because Andre the Giant is a fucking maniac of a man who is so good at everything that he did. There's so many good things about it. Ghostbusters, I think, has a bigger following, and if we talk about like box office hit, it's going to make more money. That's why they continue to make Ghostbusters movies. That's why The Afterlife came out. That's why the 2016 Ghostbusters with
Paul Rudd.
Nope, that's Afterlife with Melissa McCarthy and with
2016. My bad.
Yeah, those. That's why those continue to happen, right? Is because that brand has a much Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon has
Kate McKinnon. That was the one I was like, I could see her face, all of her history on SNL.
Leslie Jones,
her role in Barbie.
Chris Hemsworth,
I could see it all.
True himbo. It has such a wider brand. A lot more people can get into the Ghostbusters, which is
There's a
why I
lot
think it
more
does
entry
better.
points.
Yeah.
There's one entry point for the Princess Bride,
Yeah, and it's
but
locked with a
Ghostbusters,
chastity belt.
yeah. But I mean, you were talking about a cult, and there are definitely a large number of people that are willing to drink the Kool-Aid with iocane in it.
Yeah. It was Flavor Aid, but
I think either way, we have to realize that what we're saying here is that no matter which one we select, there's going to be a portion of the population that is upset with us.
Yes.
It is the burden that we must carry
you're right.
as the hosts.
Atlas
Yeah.
shrugged, and it's time to pick. It's
Yes.
time to
Yeah.
pick a winner.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Heavy is the head that beats the horse.
Why would they beat the?
Yeah,
No.
can we not beat horses, please?
I mean, I'd rather not, man. I didn't make the saying. Dan, what's your vote?
I feel like you did.
Look, I love Ghostbusters. This is it, and it makes sense that this is the finale. It's a tough decision, but I got to go with Princess Bride. I have said all along that it is the closest thing to a perfect movie. Yeah, still gets my vote. I think it's a in Scott's words, it's a better comedy.
Don't you dare fucking use that argument now after we numerically proved Naked Gun was a better comedy. I used my sciences.
Scott, what's your vote? Let's.
All right. For me, again, like I listed the pros. Ghostbusters has its cultural impact. Princess Bride has its emotional attachment. It has the cult-like following. I am one of those people. I recognize it in myself now, thinking about it for the context of this conversation, that I apparently am very susceptible to cult-like followings on things. I really enjoy The Crow. I'm a big fan of Big Fish. I like that movie a lot. I mean, it had a bit of a following. Anyway, I fully find myself in the camp of The Princess Bride. Not, I can't say fully, but that's where my vote is. I recognize Ghostbusters' impact is staggering and phenomenal in comparison to The Princess Bride's. But if there's one thing that I've learned in my years, it is that people are stupid. And just because the majority of people are going to be persuaded to see the Ghostbusters, and understandably so, right? You're going to advertise a movie in 1980, whatever, for that with Bill Murray in it. I mean, yeah, people are going to be going to see it. They're not going to know who Carrie Ells is, and the star of The Princess Bride, or what it just doesn't have the same staying power. But it's still the better of the two movies in the long run when it comes to quality and all that. And so it's the one I want to see. It's the one that if I have these two movies in front of me and my kids are only going to be able to watch one of the two of them and the other one's going to vanish from existence, I want to make sure they see Princess Bride. So that's the one that wins for me.
My name is Matt Robinson. You killed the Ghostbusters. The Princess Bride gets my vote. The Princess Bride is... Look, I tried to be as impartial as I could throughout this bracket, especially in this category. But The Princess Bride it's too much of what I value in life to not say that it's the greatest 80s comedy movie and potentially the greatest 80s movie ever made of any decade. The greatest 80s comedy of any decade.
Okay. I mean, I can support that for at least
Makes sense to me.
Couple more years, couple dozen years. I just had to do math, or not really do math. I had to remember how time worked.
It's all just a
I
construct.
hate when that happens.
When you forget how time works, it can be really disorienting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that puts us here at the end. We have definitively determined the
Unscientifically.
unscientifically, asterisk, unscientifically, the greatest, best 1980s comedy movie, The Princess Bride. Vocal air horn. All right. We did it. I feel like we accomplished something here.
Yeah, I think we did something pretty good. This is something clearly never been done before.
I think historians will look back on this and say, those three cis white dudes, they knew what they were talking about.
They were huge.
We saved America tonight, gentlemen.
We saved America.
SEAL Team Dix came back.
Why do we keep going back to that?
SEAL Team Dix.
Like that. You guys like that too much. All right. Anyway, thank you again to everyone who has stuck with us through our 1980s comedy movies bracket. Happy I'm glad we just got to a happy ending. As usual, we also want to take a moment to thank Aaron O'Donnell from Aaron O'Donnell Music on YouTube for the music track we use at the opening and closing of our show.
Thanks, Aaron.
Appreciate you. We want to again encourage everyone, interact with us on the socials at BracketALlogy, BracketALlogy. We're on all of them at this point. We're even now, I forgot to mention, streaming on Twitch. I didn't say that earlier. Matt and I are both set up to stream on there from time to time. We're actively working on trying to convince Dan to get a way to do that as well. So yeah, check us out on Twitch. Follow us on there.
Starting with this episode.
Oh, yeah.
On YouTube. Same day as the release of the podcast, we will be releasing video episodes as long as I can make them not make me look like an idiot.
Editing will we're learning. But yeah, to follow us on Twitch, sorry, jumping back, it's BracketALlogy _Scott and BracketALlogy _Matt. That's how you find us on those. Yeah, I think that's everything. So once again, thank you all. We'll see you next week for a mystery bracket that again, Dan and I don't even know what it is. So until then, my name has been Scott.
My name
still is. It will be tomorrow.
And my name will also still be Dan.
Bye-bye.